The governor mandating last year that by 2035, all new cars sold in the state have to meet that standard. If you're going to rely solely on electricity or hydrogen to get around on the roads, you have to be able to charge your car reliably. To that end, I'm live now with Gia Brazil Vason to explain how charging infrastructure here is set to accelerate. Gia is a zero-emission vehicle infrastructure manager under GoBiz, the governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. Good morning to you, Gia.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So again, it's been about a month since the California Energy Commission, the CEC, approved $2.9 billion to help the state reach its expanded goals of greener driving. Have any more charging stations been added so far? And what's the timeline for all of them to start coming online?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we currently have a target of 250,000 EV chargers and 200 hydrogen stations by 2025. And today we're at about 80,000 chargers and about 60 hydrogen stations. So we have a good way to go still. But this infusion of money and the budget that was passed will help more than double that and really get us on our way to meeting that goal.
What's the plan for where they might go? Because we know homeowners, even in rural areas, they can just plug into their houses or their garages. This is really more of a challenge for people in urban settings. Folks in apartments really kind of have to work out when and where they're charging because there may not be chargers that they have access to in, a multi-unit dwelling.
That's right. So strategically placing the infrastructure is a key piece of this. And so working with the infrastructure providers and the auto manufacturers to understand where the markets are will be really important. And also you raise a really great point about multifamily housing as well as other folks and really thinking about the equity piece of this. So there are people who are in single family homes who rent, for example, who don't necessarily have access at home to charging. So we'll need public charging to be able to do this, and in places where people are working and living and along their commute. And so there are efforts underway by the Energy Commission and others to figure out the areas where we need more placement of the infrastructure. But I do also want to say that something really important about the recent $2.9 billion budget that was passed is that 50% of that is aimed towards equity investments. And so ensuring that those people in lower income areas or in places that are more rural or in multifamily dwelling will have access and will be able to do the things they need to do and get the places that they want to get.
All right, now you just mentioned low income areas. I do have to ask, despite desire, cost can keep people from getting into this market. The average price for one of these ZEVs is about $66,000, and that's just not realistic for many families. So what is there to get people to be able to get into this market to begin with?
Yeah, great question. So we've seen, maybe I'll just make a point that we've really seen growing adoption and interest in the zero emission vehicle market. So at the end of Q3, we had all 18% of new vehicle sales were zero emission vehicles, and that's up from in 2021, that was just about 12.5%. So we're seeing more and more interest. There was also a recent survey performed by Consumer Reports that showed that in California, about 50% of people are definitely considering or seriously considering buying a zero emission vehicle, and that's compared to 36% nationwide.
Okay.
So I just mentioned that to say that I think there's growing interest, and we need to continue to invest in making these cars more affordable. It is with infrastructure costs or infrastructure availability and vehicle costs are kind of the two primary concerns that people have. So in addition to the investments in infrastructure, the Air Resources Board also has a number of different programs and about $2.6 billion complementary plan that will help drive down the cost, will help provide vehicle rebates, and help bring down the cost for zero emission vehicle trucks and the like. So it's both hand in hand in trying to make things more accessible and more affordable.
Alrighty, and just quickly before we run out of time, power is on everybody's minds with the series of storms that we have. So if I decide to drive an electric car in this kind of environment during these kind of storms, what powers the charging stations, and do they go down in situations like this?
That is something that we need to be keeping an eye on. Indeed, that can be those that are connected to the grid can go down. And so thinking about how we have backup power and backup storage is a really important part of our overall climate combating actions. And you're right, we need to be addressing those as well. And that also raises one of the reasons why California is also investing in hydrogen and fuel cell vehicles as well, to give different options and some diversity there.
Alrighty, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.